Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Monogatari. Tonight we're on episode 2 of Tsukimonogatari. Episode 3, I mean. We watched episode 2 already. That's gonna be the energy, okay? I'm gonna say it out as that's going to be the energy. I don't even think we're gonna start with the comments. I think we'll get to the comments in a second. I think, start with this. So, boom, let me go on the screen. This is Tsukimonogatari episode 1. This has literally been on my mind for the last, 3 days or whatever since we watched episode 1. And I don't know if I have anything to say about it, but I want to rewatch it. And I've rewatched it twice, and I want to rewatch it again, but actually, with the camera rolling. And maybe maybe I will conjure words into it, but it's basically just the tail end of this Ononoki monologue, right? And so let me just play it. Where was it? This, honestly, of I feel I've spoken too much, but I feel like I've talked too much. Yeah, there's something so, I don't know, maybe that's it already. And I know this already seems like I'm kind of going on unhinged mode. I'm just accepting it at this point. We've hit the fifth stage of grief, acceptance, okay? I'm literally in a state of relation with this so much that it's kind of messing me up. Okay, I'm gonna say it how it is. Relating to araragi too much. Is that a bad thing? Always yes, never. I'm joking. But yeah, always bad to relate to fictional characters, especially araragi. No. So let me try to verbalize this. There's a certain energy with the way that Araragi's speaking here that is so, he says it himself, fed up, right? This part of I am once again trying to tell a story, right? It's almost, and he goes into it in a second, but it's this, there's almost a defeat in that. They're I'm trying to do this, but it's not doing what I require it to, But I feel like I've talked too much. And then he goes into how his attempts to tell the story have perhaps weakened it in a sense by removing the mystique, right? When they're spoken too much, they lose their meaning. There's two things I want to pull from this, and I'm talking purely my own experience with the show. I'm kind of just stepping outside of the show for a second. It is directly how the show's hitting me, but it's specifically centered on me here, which is why, I don't know, I guess I'm framing this differently on purpose. This, I feel almost that this has been my experience with the show, and I don't know if that's true, but just where it's I feel I've talking too much and they lose their meaning, but I feel I've talked too much. And it's because it's there's the experience of the show, right? And it's emotional, and sometimes it verbalizes things. It's very similar to what Kaiki was saying. Oh man. Whoa, I just started getting emotional. That was crazy. Why did the word kaiki just make me tear up a little bit? Whoa! Okay, we're in the pits. This thing of, fuck. Let me just run it back. But I feel I've talked too much. It's very similar to what Kaiki was saying. There it is. Of how, when you speak something, you've already kind of diverged from it. It reminds me of that. This statement here of, consider these things, secondhand information, street gossip, things of mystique is the way I've kind of been saying it. But I also want to extend it to the experience of consuming something. Because that's really what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to make a piece of content out of the experience of consuming another piece of content, right? And a lot of that, not necessarily all, but a lot of that comes out of trying to verbalize, and not even always verbalize, but just show in some fashion to the camera and to the mic what the experience has been like, right? And so that's I could say the show is great, it's really the experience I've got has been very positive, it's been very negative, blah, blah, blah. I can say this has made me uncomfortable, I can say all these things, I can also physically cringe, I can physically weep, I can visibly and audibly laugh, I can do all these things, right, to express that. And with it being on camera specifically, and it being in it, there's a very active attempt made to do that. I feel like the show has verbalized this weird, this fear of mine that I've discussed sometimes, but it's done it once more. I don't know if I've discussed it in Monogatari, but of like how I don't even know if I've talked about it. I'm just thinking of another show, but where it's like, man, maybe I've in some way diverged from, like Kaiki was saying, or like ruined or somehow damaged the experience of this media through the verbalization of it. So that's like A. That's exhibit A in why I'm starting with this intro monologue. The end of this intro, whatever. Then there's B. We'll get to B in a second. This show is crazy, by the way. I'm just gonna look at me. Like, what am I? Like, I'm saying the show is crazy. Well, I know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to fill the void of, like, I didn't have anything to say for a second, so I just threw in a compliment to the show, because that's a good way to fill the air. That's why that was said. But, oh, we gonna start reacting and analyzing the reaction. We're looping in, okay? We're Ouroborosing, okay? I'm gonna eat my own tail here. Whoa, pause. Okay. So this next part. I'll let it speak for itself here. This line is so reflective and accurate to my own lived experience of reality, and so to see it in this with this piece of media has like really kind of done something weird. And I'll read it. I wonder how much longer things will go like this. I'm kind of fed up with it. I mean, that's how I feel, right? And I'll let it continue. Because the way it's said, I also appreciate, and I've spoken of this before. When I originally was looking at this line of feeling that trickery is starting to no longer work. I think the way I interpret it was interpreted it to araragi, was potentially like a self trickery, and really that may have been a projection of I feel like oh maybe like am I tricking myself to keep myself moving, that kind of feeling where it's like, if I'm so fed up with it, like, the things I would do to keep myself moving despite being fed up with it, is that trickery? That's kind of what I got out of the show here. Which has then been an interesting question of, like, it's caused, like, a reevaluation of a lot of the things I do. And I'm kind of speaking vague, and I guess maybe I'm doing that on purpose, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing it on purpose. What a weird way to define the word purpose. Okay, but that feeling is a luxury. To think that it will continue forever is a luxury. I'll let it continue. I'll let it run for a minute here. World doesn't work like that. This is true. And the music, man, the music here hits so hard. The music in this arc so far has been so fire. Every story is marked with the end at some point. There was, I think, another line. The repetition of words will reach its limit. Like, it can only keep going for so long. You can only keep yourself going using your mantra for so long. That's kind of what I pull out of that. I think there's another line I'm looking for. This is why this is the beginning of the end. Or just maybe the part of, like, this is where I understood the end was coming, or whatever the phrasing. And this part is said so well. I just love the definition of, like, araragi as a separate being, and then redefining it about how myself, araragi, so it's, I speak of araragi outside of myself, and then I realize I've done this, and so I pull it back, and I realize, yes, I speak of myself in this instance. That's so fire. Yeah, this is a story of how it will end and begin, and then it just cuts to the OP here. Man, I've been getting this weird thing of, oh, I'm trying a part of me is saying, don't you dare speak this into existence. It's really not that big of a deal. I'm being overdramatic. I guess I could say it on, like, a smaller scale. I'll start with a smaller scale of, like these Monogatari as a show will one day end for me, right? And my experience with it will end. And part of that ending will be a ending of not all, perhaps not even most, but at least a significant portion of people that I've been able to, like, live this show with, right? And with is a crazy statement. I don't want people to get too parasocial about that, because that's kind of a weird statement for me to say in this position. But, like, there's so many people that have watched this and watched what I've kind of done with this show, attempted to do with this show, let's even say. And there will be an ending to that, right? There will be a day, probably within a full calendar year from this moment. We are approaching the 1 year anniversary of Bakemonogatari episode 1. I think that's coming up kind of soon. I could even maybe check. I'll check that when I look at the comments, or maybe I won't. I'll probably forget. We are approaching that though, which is really funny. But there will come a day in the future, that I will produce the last piece of Monogatari, and maybe that's, arc tier list right after we finish the show. Perhaps. Maybe that's deeper in after a few, I don't know, maybe I make a video essay or something. Who knows, right? Who knows what the future entails. But there will come that day. And when that day comes, or even specifically when the reactions to what's out comes, and when that ends and that day comes, a lot of people are going to be out of here, right? Totally respect it. Big internet, go chase your, find whatever you're interested in and chase that. Like, that's so valuable. And there is nothing owed to me, right? I'm just a dude that's watching the show and trying to love the show, right? So if, totally fine with that. But there is a weird fear of like, oh, dang, like understanding that impending end, has got me feeling odd. And even on a grander scale of like making content, period, right? Of recording and sitting in front of this little webcam and this mic and my other monitor where I look at myself as I yap. The end of reaction content. Maybe there's another step after that or within that. Streams, freaking, I don't know. I don't know where it goes, right? I haven't been there yet. But there will come an end to all of that. And, like, I don't know when it's gonna be, But when I've started to think about that, mixed in with a little bit of, like, this fed up thing he talks about, which is where, like, some of the annoyances or some of the problems, some of the paranoia, some of the issues, some of the fears, mixing it in, when all of that gets mixed into this idea of an end approaching, it's exactly as Araragi says, where it's like, but there's a luxury element to thinking that it won't end and going through it. There is a luxury there, but there's also this, like, I feel like there's almost like a small amount of relief in here somewhere, right? Where I'm kind of fed up with things going on like this. And then he realizes that it will end. Which then would imply that once it ends, he will no longer be fed up with it, and hence the relief, right? So I'm it's like this weird thing where I'm like, it's like reflecting back on myself in a weird way. And it has me thinking like, what am I fed up with? What will I be relieved of? And I don't want to go into like what I'm fed up with, like, I don't think that there is really, I don't think that's a wise thing to do. And perhaps I'm in a funny way kind of fed up with feeling like it's not a wise thing to do. Because it's like this nullification of some of my speech that I would prefer to say, but I don't know. It's just got me in a weird headspace, and it's a headspace that I go in sometimes. Like I'm used to this headspace. It ain't nothing new. But as it applies specifically to Monogatari, there becomes a almost obligation or responsibility to talk about it. Because it applies to the show that I'm supposed to be here yapping about. And I don't really have a period to the sentence, I don't really have like an end, like what I'm building to, because I don't really know what I'm building to, because it's, I don't know what I'm building, period. Yeah, there's just, man, the almost like the attitude in which this opening is spoken, of just like it's very soft, like, what is this? Like, right here, right? What is this? The rowdy days seem to continue for just a bit longer. I mean, just a bit longer is very soft, right? It's not, it's ending now, it's not, it's ending later, but it's just like, oh, like, we're close, but not quite, like, it's, kind of rolling. It's in that kind of rolling. It's very rounded, if you kind of get what I mean. It's a very rounded edge. Soon the repetition will someday reach its limits, and man, that's just so true. Yeah, and so it's like this weird thing, and where, how do I say this? The story, the reaction. I don't say story. That sounds so much cooler than reaction. The story of my experience with Araragi's Story of the Doll, as much as Araragi comes to an understanding of endings, it's allowing me to also come to an understanding of endings. Period before the preferably, because the did not, we don't need the in there. Yeah. I go in and I cut out every single that I ever say in every video. New strat just dropped. I don't know. It's just, this show is killing me, basically. It's basically killing me. Well, I don't know if that's even fair to say, because every day you're always dying, so that's the truth. We're all gonna end. Okay. But yeah. Man, just Araragi's, like, the way Araragi is here, like, kind of out of everything, in an experience, but not really living it. It's almost like he's not living it because he's thinking about the ending, which is a source of stress for him. Shout out the calendar and shout out the time clock nightmare. But I mean, wow, like, this shot of just him sitting there with Ononoki serving him a drink or whatever, and he's thinking, I wonder how much longer things will go like this, where it's like this, he's in this moment, but he's not experiencing it really, because he's more so considering his own dismissal of the situation. Like, it's like this introspection that's pulling him out of the experience. And I wonder if this format of how I'm approaching the show, along with just my own experience of the show, is causing me the same thing. Where as much as I'm, like, because, I try so hard to be invested in this, and it's not even that, I don't even have to try that hard because of how good it is, right? So it's easy, it allows me to invest. Well, it's very good, it's also kind of hard. It can be a tough show. A tough nut to crack, especially early on. It was kind of crazy for a while there. Freaking Kizu, man. They did that one time when they flashed Shinobu's entire bare bottom when she looked like a 13-year-old. That still was like such a crazy, like, I remember just being like, oh my, what is happening? I remember that being such an uncomfortable, like, not even uncomfortable, but just more so like, it pulled me completely out of the show kind of thing. Where it's just like, wow, what am I even doing here, And I feel like that, those little bits here and there where I've gotten that in every show, because it's not exclusive to Monogatari. But then even now, like, I feel like Araragi's now kind of almost like hitting some similar notes, some similar sounding notes. And some of these shots of him just like looking down and away from the ride, because he's so deep within himself, right? That's very relatable. And the focus being on time and on endings is very relatable. Because of how, like, like his dream. I haven't even thought about this specifically. The dream with the clocks. I've had so many nightmares about being late to places. About, like, showing up to classes late. Me, like, what a specific one, because is lightly reoccurring, is, like, I've gone to class or whatever in, like, a school or, like, whatever, and the schools take a lot of different shapes, because I have a lot of school dreams, but it's very frequently not a school I've ever actually been to, but whenever I'll go to, like, a class, right? I'll go to like three classes, right? And I'll just kind of maneuver to the hallway, walk in the room, exist there for a moment, and then I'll be out of there because it's a dream, right? It's weird. But they'll come like this crushing, horrible anxiety I'll get when I, like, realize, oh my goodness, I've skipped my first class for the last 3 months. It's like, wow, that's horrible. Like, I've missed something that I needed to attend for 3 months. It'll that'll hit me, or I'll be like walking around like in the street or something, or like on the sidewalk or whatever, and then I'll realize, oh my goodness, school started 3 hours ago, and I'm not there, and I don't even like, where even am I? And I'll start trying to make it there, and then I'll show up, and it'll or whatever, right? But it's so many. And it's not like I was ever late to class. Your boy made it to class on time like every day, okay? It's not like that was like a chronic issue for me. But it's more so, I think, a bigger dread, which Araragi might be feeling, of being like lost in like a period of time and then missing something. And then it's like this horrible like anxiety or regret. Like I feel like that can almost already be baked into a regret as well. You catch my drift? Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I just like, I love looking at the comments most of the time. And for Monogatari, there's been a lot of really great and fun ideas that we've cut through and dissected and looked at, right? In both the comments and in like the Discord, right? Shout out the Discord. Lots of good conversation in there. Sometimes the Discord gets spammed with a bunch of feet pics. Or like pictures of, I don't even dare speak out loud, but most of the time, not even most, sometimes there's some good stuff in there. Whoa. But this feeling of like fed up with it, it's not like, I don't want to say fed up with it because that's so negative. But man, like, it's like, man, I got an entire life, and so there's this like there's this weird balance. Shout out the idea of balance between, how do I even say it? How do I even discuss it? How do I even react to it? I don't know. It's just a habit of mine. I think it's a habit that applies more to YouTube, and so it's not something that I can, because the way I'm saying it, I'm trying to be very careful to not show like disingenuity. What's the word? Like lack of genuineness. I'm trying to not show like a upsetness or like I'm trying to stay away from a lot of negativity. Because I so much appreciate like the people that are around, because it's so, it's a lot of good stuff. But like, man, and I've said it before. I'll tie it back to something I said before, I think in the Tsuki 1 reaction, where it was something like, at the end of the finish line, sometimes I lose a lot of steam, where I'll push myself, right? Pull in, getting no sleep, skipping certain classes, optimizing, turning things in right at the, working hours and hours, and I'll push. Shout out pregnancy, just like pregnancy, man. Pushing. But like I'll reach like the last few weeks and it'll be like, holy crap, I'm like, it's like this approaching towards the end, like Araragi's discussing like him realizing the finality of what's happening, and it's mixed in with this sudden like burnout, and I get that in a lot of things. Not in everything. There's certain things I haven't gone in, but like at least school. I can say that with school, right? Definitely like I've just with my latest semester specifically, it was like that. The most I've ever felt that, where it was just, grind, and then I just hit a spot, and then it was just like I hit free air, and I stopped running. There was nothing. I stopped pushing myself forward, and I just kind of floated the rest, and I almost feel like when Araragi put it into words here, I feel like it's that idea has taken root and like started to apply to Monogatari, like this whole thing, where it's like this almost weird growing apathy, where it's just like I'm booting it up, and that's kind of why I didn't start with the comments this time, where it's like I've booted it up and hit the record button and looked over and gone, yo, what's up, everyone? Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to Monogatari. Look at me. I literally have to. I like tried to say it one time, couldn't remember how it went, and then actually committed myself to saying it the way I usually said it, and then it hit the flow. I've said it so many times that that it's hitting a flow. Okay, there's that rhythm there. There's that like that habit formed. And it's like this it's habitual, and I've hit this point where it's become so habitualized that I'm starting to like introspect on the habit, and it's like introspecting on the habit so often for me leads to it pooling out of my hands, right? Where I grab hold to it, I grab hold to the habit, which almost is similar to this idea of speaking. When they're spoken too much, they lose meaning. It's like this habit has been done so much times, and then I try to grasp it, and then it like starts to lose itself. Only once it attempts to be grasped, and it started to like spin out. And man, it was so funny. I think even on episode 2, I think it was literally Tsuki. I deleted the raw footage earlier today to clear up space. Rip that. Could have pulled it up, but I'm pretty sure in the 30 minutes of intro that I completely deleted before I kind of did a full reset and then actually like attempted again. I tried to start the reaction with like literally nothing formulaic. You know, none of that. Yo, what's up, everyone? None of that. I tried to just pull that all out and just literally just go like, what if I didn't start? You know, like completely just cut it all out and just do it completely differently. I've considered like walking into this episode. I was scrolling through the comments and I was like, yeah, there's some good stuff in here. But then a part of me was like, what if I just didn't read the comments? Like, what if I just didn't? You know, man, and it makes me think of a character from an anime. I won't even go into that because that's a huge tangent. But it's similar to an idea that I really resonate with in media of like burn it all down. Which is like, you know, there's like this weird, it's like this, I've thought about this before, and I'll try to make this quick because it's such a tangent, but this idea of I'm trying to build something here, but man, the day it'll all come crashing down, what a beautiful day that'll be. Like this weird romanticizing or almost fantasizing of destroying or having be destroyed the thing that you've worked on. You know, so it's like it'd be like this. There's a story that I know of someone personally that went through a ton of college, blah blah blah, PhD, freaking whatever. But like a few weeks before graduating, they stopped and they never graduated. They literally went through all of college and then just stopped right at the end and didn't finish it, even so it was literally like one class away or something. And it's almost like this feeling, like this weird, not like morbid, but like this weird, almost like sickly. It's almost like sickly and poisonous, but not quite with that connotation. What's the word? Like morose or like sickly, poisonous. I can't find the word. I can't quite find the word, which is so sad, so upsetting. But I think sickly, but not with the connotation of sick or illness, but more so like a perversion. That kind of stylization of sickly. It's that, but with the thing you've created, where it's like a if you've heard of the death drive, it's almost like a death drive of the thing you've created. It's like that. You know, that's something that I've felt a lot, and it almost feels like Araragi losing it. And it's like this. It's like he's starting the episode in this weird dreamscape with him looking terrified and him actively omitting things. He is transforming the story in a way that almost feels like a radical, like, giving up, and just like he's done pretending that it's different. He's done pretending so many things, and he's explicitly doing weird stuff. He's going into this weird dream sequence that isn't like the Shaft stylization that is usually when they do something weird. It's like one of the Shaft stylizations, but this is so much more like on the nose, and this isn't an oddity. This is like his mental escape, and it's he's actively omitting stuff in front of us. Like the very framework of the story that he has built up of his own escapism or of his own self-deception or of his own issues is something that he is beginning to lose, and he's losing the motivation as the storyteller to keep that facade up and keep that thing he's built going. And I feel like I myself, in seeing Araragi go through this, am starting to feel a similar thing. Boom. Boom. Okay. Should I go into the comments now? Let's get back on format. Hey, let's start. You know, that's kind of where I'm at. And what a situation it is to... Man, I feel like after Oshinoko episode 1, if you haven't seen that, go watch that. Good show. Especially episode 1. Really enjoyed episode 1. Good episode. I won't say anything. I won't spoil anything on that. But especially after my reaction to that, if you've seen that reaction, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, frick, how do I talk about this? It's maybe being mentally destroyed is the content. You know what I mean? But there's also a need to... It's a calculated vulnerability thing, and I've yapped about that many a time. And so... Because, this isn't normal reaction content, I don't think. I haven't consumed that much recently of reaction content because, fun fact, I kind of lost the ability to consume reaction content after making reactions. I no longer was able to enjoy reaction content, I feel like. Fun fact. Yeah, something... Literally, I'm going to use Araragi's words. Spoken too much, lost their meaning. It almost felt like in doing it, I spoke too much, and it lost its mystique, it lost its meaning, it lost the experience because I had done the experiencing to the point of, seeing all the cracks in a way. And almost also... And I think it's beyond that and beyond what scope I could bring out of this line into more of a, I've seen the performance that sometimes is required, and I've felt the genuineness and the performative parts of the genuineness, and that's completely, the curtain's gone, right? And when I say curtain, it makes me think of oddities. It almost feels like I began to see the oddities behind that form of content and lost, and there was a loss there. But that's fine. It is what it is. In creation there is loss. Fuck it. Make that a quote. Tattoo that onto your skin. But yeah. I'm going to relate to Araragi way too much moving forward in this show. And some crazy things are going to happen and it's going to destroy me. Because I do see in certain parts of him in the story, I do see a lot of reflection, which is very... And that's what this entire intro segment is supposed to illustrate. Intro? It's already been so long. Oh, it's already 2 a.m. Oh, I've worked for blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Well, but the show's talking about time, so surely I can complain about my own time scheduling in my own life. Surely that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. His little dance here. Let me just look at Araragi dance. You know what? New interpretation of this show. All this abstract meta stuff is really just a cover-up for perversion. It's the real point of the show is the fan service, and everything else that you can use as a deflection of the fan service is simply smoke and mirrors. Thoughts? Thoughts? It really is about Hanakawa's boobs, and is about the bath scenes, and is about the perversion. And everything else is just a trick. What about that? And another idea, new idea, oddities aren't real. And it's all just delusion. And it's all delusion for the sake of telling a story that words themselves could not tell. So they had to be personified in different aspects and then interwoven into different narratives to do as such. And that's what the oddities are. They're the personifications of the aspects necessary. Look at these boobs on the screen. Look at these miner's boobs. She's an oddity. Maybe it doesn't count. Look at her go. What is happening anymore? Why is she so tall in this? If you stretched her out, she would be 10 feet above Araragi. She's literally a giant, man. Like this leg is literally, I'm using my fingers, goes up to Araragi's right here. And then you put the rest of her body, and you put it there, and it literally maxes out right there. You see my little mouse? That is how tall she is. So yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to spend in the comments. Let me just go to the comments here for a second. I'm probably going to run through this real quick, because of what as spoken. We're just going to go top to bottom with this. There's good stuff, though, so I do want to real quick hit some of them. Okay, so, I agree with this completely. I think this is a really cool way to read the scene of the shinobu talk about healing with the toenail. Could it be more of an analogy to emotional healing? The really like simple like just attempt at kind of tying that together would be like a it needs to heal on the inside first, right? Like it's like the emotional the healing that Araragi was attempting was more of a trying to fix the symptom as opposed to trying to fix the root, which I think is something that can apply to Araragi's story a lot as a whole, where he's trying to fix the symptoms of things, right? If we want to go into the freaking this kind of stuff, like the true monster, fake monster stuff, that'd be like Shinobu or whatever, right? The fake monster stuff. Like he's trying to fix the symptom of things, not actually the root issue. And I would also point at something bad happened to him. I don't know of it yet. That's the root issue that he's trying to avoid by fixing the symptoms, such as self-sacrifice, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, through self-sacrifice to all these other characters, you know, blah, blah, blah. Trying to, like for example, instead of actually dealing with why do I feel like I need to die for people, or not even that, but why do I feel like I need to be responsible for everyone, he instead fixes the symptom of the open responsibilities for people by actually filling in, actually helping people, right? But it's yeah. So I really like that. I'll try to go. I don't know. Maybe I'll hit that in another scene. Senjuga is a good question of like what's going on with that. Is he just avoiding that? Is she part of Araragi falling apart? And he's just keeping that to himself. Is she not? Where's the relationship at? Maybe she tried talking to him. We don't know. Yeah, he just hasn't told us. It's a good question, though. I liked this idea as well with, like, vampirism as an idea of depression. And I think that applies really well to Kizu, right? He walks into Kizu alone and speaking this lone wolf philosophy, and he walks out of Kizu, and then in Kizu as a vampire, he has to walk the night. He's a person of the night. Guess what? When of the day people aren't around very much? The night, because they're asleep, you know? Walking the night world is a lot quieter and more empty than walking the day world. And it's funny, even in the day world, he tries to tell us the story as if it was quiet and empty by not showing us pedestrians. But, so for vampirism to be an analogy of that experience of, loneliness, and almost even like, with the whole night idea being like somewhat of an intended loneliness, I think that totally works. Am I smoking too much? If you're smoking too much, then I'm smoking too much. Hey, we could be smoking too much together. Yeah. And I do like that. I do like that. And I'm not sure if we should necessarily say that's to vampirism. I think it's fair to say it's to vampirism. But it's also just a byproduct of vampirism. So, like, perhaps we could say that a consequence of this topic of suicide, which is explored through vampirism, is depression and seclusion. Or we could just, instead of saying consequence of, we could say are directly tied to, instead of making it like one to the next. It's more of like a one to another. Whatever. I like it though. I like it. This is basically, so Araragi's parents, some paragraphs cut from Nekoshiro. This is a funny clarification as well. And it's, what's important about Nekoshiro is Hanakawa saying it all right. So we can trust her. We can, whereas with Araragi, if he offhandedly says the word parents, plural, I could see that being a some sort of self-deceit. Whereas with Hanakawa, she doesn't have a reason to do that. So for her to say, I'm gonna have to say to you, hello to your parents. Well, yeah, I guess I do remember these scenes actually pretty well. So I wonder when did I go off on the Araragi's dad missing idea? When was that? I liked the idea so much. I still think it was a cool idea. When did it happen after? I don't remember. I wonder where I got there. Oh, I'll just watch my reaction. No, I'm not gonna rewatch freaking hours of my own reaction. That's way too much time. But yeah. Basically they are both around, probably, right? Still they allowed me to stay over, but this really did make them seem like Araragi's parents. Well, was she only told about parents plural? Yeah, I guess that was it. Because we never saw the dad show up on screen, which made me think maybe he's just not around at all. And so even Karen and Tsukiki as the fonts of information for Hanakawa, for them to say parents, and then that's why Hanakawa says parents, doesn't, like, they would all, Karen and Tsukiki could have reason for referring to a late parent or an absent parent as, like, still in the plural of parents. So, yeah. I do think that both the parents are around and they're straight chillin' now. I would say that that's probably just the case. But, I'm kind of trying to just get back on my own headspace. But yeah, cool. Pogged. I already read through. I'm not gonna like verbally read this all out loud again, because guess what? This was from the novel, and also people have the pause button, so it's really OP. Unless you want me to, hey, you want me to narrate this? No, I'm joking. Okay. I'm just playing. Foolish experience turning into foolish practices. Wisely said. Becoming so caught up with oneself to the point of losing oneself. He wanted to stay human in Kizu, so why not now? Ononoki chopping Araragi's wordplay. This is funny. Of Araragi has tree within the name. Ononoki's axis tree. At one point, she chopped him when he like tried to lift her skirt, which is funny. And so this is funny as well. If I don't know if this was adapted, but that is funny as well. Yeah, she's the tree, or the axe's tree, or the tree's axe, I would assume. I'll just continue. I like this line a lot. That's a very good way of describing it. For the OP, it's similar to The Shining. That's funny. I haven't actually seen The Shining. I've seen the iconic hallway shot. But I haven't actually seen The Shining. I have no clue what they meant by that. I just remember a lot of, quote, Shaft disproves the moon landing jokes back in the day. I got no idea what you're talking about there. That is funny. Maybe I'll, for the OP. Oh, I guess maybe there's an inspiration there. Maybe I wonder if there's an inspiration on a level more, like if there's an inspiration, if it's on a level deeper than just like an aesthetic coolness to the scene or what. I just thought this was funny. Twilight, stars, orange, star, Twilight, orange, Twilight, stars, orange. And then this line of, I'm gonna ogue all over you. Say it. I'm gonna ogue all over. Okay. There we go. It was, quote, all over. This U was added in. Okay, I did not say that. Also, I could have sworn I hearted this message. I could have sworn I saw this message get posted. I clicked this timestamp, thought, what a funny thing to timestamp, and then hearted it. But look, it's not hearted. What happened? Did it maybe it unhearted when you edited it? Maybe that's a thing. Wait, is now the time to check? No, it's not. Maybe editing a comment unhearts. I don't think so, but I don't know what happened there. Should I? Ooh, I'm gonna heart. No. I'm gonna do it. No. A lot of good stuff in here. So let me quote, his true monster means his true issues. That's why the fake true split within the monster self exists. Fake is the literal monster issues. Monster self doesn't just refer to his literal vampirism. It means all the things about himself he can't bear to look at. Monster self doesn't just refer to his literal vampirism. I agree with that. That's definitely true. Let me see if I can parse through my own thoughts with this. That's why the fake true split within the monster self exists. Fake is the literal monster issues. But yeah, the issues because I mean even think about what an oddity is. The things that make oddities happen aren't like root symptom as discussed earlier with the healing the toenail and the broken bone. The thing that causes the oddity to happen is a separate thing than the oddity in a lot of cases. So even if we were to make him fully human again, like, and the literal monster of the vampirism is dispelled, even if that were the case, there's still other issues. He still walked into Kizu with problems, right? And so just because that's when the oddity experience happened, that doesn't mean that there was nothing before that, you know? And the oddity has to take root in something to sprout. Thus, the oddity is a separate thing, and then there's the root. So that I at least am completely happy with. The true monster means his true issues. It's all the things about himself he can't bear to look at. So, because that's... Yeah, well, because, like, he can't bear to look at. What can't he what is it? What about himself can he not bear to look at? Is the question then? Because and then we can start to distinguish that between like what is hidden and what is not hidden as to try to get to some of the true fake stuff, right? And kind of the differences in that. What, or it's not even necessarily, or it's just what are the things he doesn't like about himself, and then what of that can he not bear to look at or treats differently than the rest of it, right? That's kind of the question. And because he is, I mean, justice has been a very loud and proud theme of the show, so perhaps that's not... Man, I'm so hungry, and I got this entire sleeve of crackers right in front of me. That was a misplay. I'm putting that to the side. Out of sight, out of mind. Train of thought. Gone. No. His justice is something very obvious in the show. I think seeing that as a negative... Just ran into the desk. Seeing that as a negative perhaps would be something... Or like his own inner turmoil with that black and white justice system could be part of that. Like, he can't bear to look at that because he doesn't talk about where the justice has come from, no, despite it being so important. Hashtag his parents are police officers. And yeah. It means about it stuff he can't bear to look at. I'm just gonna keep reading. I'm not doing another intro. This intro is going all the way. I'm taking this hoe to the moon. Okay, we're going to the moon with this one. Also, fun fact, I'm wearing the same shirt. I don't know if I changed out of this shirt and then changed back into this shirt, or if I just never changed the shirt. I'm just gonna say it loud and proud, because you know what? I feel like that's on theme with the episode. Okay. There may be bad things, resentment towards humans heroes. The human monster stuff split was never purely about good and evil. He just wishes that was the case. Yeah, like he wishes that the reality was black and white, and that's what the struggle of growing up is, realizing that it's so much more gray. We're good there. I'm happy there. We're happy there. The projection involved in sympathizing a ball doesn't just involve her meta role. It's about what Araragi's ideas about what makes one a, quote, monster mean when confronted with reality. Right. Yeah. So... I like that. Sympathizing with a doll in this case means sympathizing with something that is only superficially like you, so the sympathy is actually mostly projection. Right, yeah, I could see that as well. Because, yeah, it's interesting, because it's, there is a lot of stuff that Araragi himself feels, I think, and he's exploring within himself, that he's using Ononoki as a frame, like, as a medium to explore. Like that intro monologue. But, so there is kind of the question of how much of this is projection, and so, right, versus how much of this is more Ononoki. Like, how much of it is a reading of Ononoki that you sympathize with, versus a skewed reading of Ononoki based on your own biases that is more projection. It's really hard to tell. I feel like, Ononoki is just so, like, the descriptions of Ononoki he gave, I feel like, were pretty interesting and on the nose. Though the human, the oddity pretending to be human for the point of working with, as opposed to as opposed to being human, like that perhaps is probably pretty projection based in him coming to doing this understanding of himself that is monstrous and is oddity like. Bro, I just gotta. Oh, wait, that's Pog. Okay, can't talk about that. Get out of here, phone. Well, I am not talking about that. Not yet. We'll talk about that later. Okay, continuing. It's the Halo theme. Okay. Since you're already getting Jungian, it's also why oddities aren't purely a matter of shadow integration. The shadow is the quote shadow is purely subjectively defined and is constantly in flux, such as Black Hanakawa. I like that Black Hanakawa that analysis of Black Hanakawa. I like, how Black Hanakawa shifts in Araragi, and even just like straight up like Hachikuji. Boom. What, Hachikuji? What are we gonna say? Hachikuji's an evil shadow something? And your boy hasn't read enough Carl Jung to actually be able to like speak bars on this that much. So take me with a grain of salt. Let me just go off about like kneecapping my own validity again. But I'm just gonna keep yapping. Okay. In Araragi's case, it's less about which parts of himself he likes and dislikes, which would be more of a white-black, and more of a rank order for which he resents the most. That's interesting to me as well. I don't have anything to say on that yet. I agree with this. I think this is interesting. This is interesting, and I'm thinking about this idea of him being narcissistic. Yeah, I mean, he does impose himself into situations to be perished, which is kind of narcissistic-esque, but yeah, so that's interesting and something to think about. This, I think, is a really interesting of how in episode 2, Shinobu gets on a throne after Nadeko was dethroned from being god. And so it's funny because Shinobu was supposed to be the god, and then in this sense she's getting put on a throne. So yeah, the victim complex has been dethroned. So maybe that's like a araragi. Man, maybe that's why he's full oddity. We take a more of a meta angle or like more of a thematic thing of like he's the idea of the victim complex has been taken apart. So now he's not even looking at himself or telling the story as if he was a victim. And so he's now approaching the story because he moves into the story not in this latest arc in Tsukimonogatari. It went from I'm a half human, half vampire struggling to become human again, but I'm also held down by Shinobu and blah blah blah. It went from that to I'm a full vampire. I'm straight up a monster. So he's not even attempting to make it like to humanize himself in this instance, right? Which I think could be a direct consequence of the victim representation, Nadeko being dethroned. As for putting Shinobu on as a placeholder, is it like, I guess maybe we could just say, like in one sense we could say he's doing it from the throne thing, but in another, does he have the power to god? Could we god Shinobu still? We could, right? Gon, can we just make that happen? Like, if he had the opportunity to now, or if he wanted to now, would he have the opportunity? I think so. But yeah, let me just keep going. Like I said before, yeah, meta layer is, I think, meta stuff in general, I think makes the most punch, in a, like, when you actually have all the puzzle pieces laid out, then I feel like meta layer is like a good assembling kind of portion. I do still enjoy exploring it. I just don't like locking into ideas too early, you know? Because if you lock into ideas, then I'm afraid that a bias will form that'll keep me out of other fun ideas. That's kind of where that's at. And I don't like being locked out of ideas. Regarding specialists and parental figures, real parents don't have to be absent for them to slide into these roles in Araragi's mind, considering the resentment he holds and how he projects that. Gon, I think I've described Gon before as a very stereotypical, like, know-it-all parent. I don't know if I have. I don't know where. Like, I think I've talked about that before. So I totally agree with that. And the reading of Gon like that as a know-it-all parent. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I went off about that one time. This is definitely an inversion. This, and then I like a lot of this as well. Is there anything else I was trying to say with this? This is true. He's projecting onto Shinobu. That's interesting as well. This is a good point as well, how him hiding Tsuki, he could be him trying to be heroic, like project himself as heroic. To Tsukihi, or to us, the audience, or to himself. Yeah. Good stuff in there. I do appreciate it. Have you ever done Tatami Galaxy? You should really do that one too. Plus Night is Short, Walk on Girl movie. I have not done either of these, but I will have to look at them for sure. I think I've heard of Tatami Galaxy. Is that the one where the girl wears the leopard print? You know what I'm talking about? I think it might be. I'll have to look it up just to see if I'm thinking of the right thing. It's funny that it takes place in the school, in the cram school like grounds, right? Which is, man, it's like, but why? Why do they do it here? And then I do think it's less of this, and because this is in regards to why he's a full vampire now. The stance I'm at currently is that it was less the amount of times he turned into a vampire and more of a comfort with turning into a vampire, right? He was so comfortable with being a vampire that he became a vampire. He was so comfortable with becoming a monster that he became a monster. The habitual use of the vampire has formed him into one, right? You are your actions kind of thing. And while that is connected to the amount of times he became a vampire, I think it's more his own perception of it than the actual numeric amount, right? Because is it like, I don't think there's like a cutoff of he became a vampire 300 times, now he's a vampire, you know? I think it's not quite as numeric and more of a thinky thing. And there's somebody out there listing, araragi, you only got 3 more uses of vampirism left. That'd be kind of funny. That would be kind of funny. And then this again, yeah, the araragi's father thing, I'm pretty much past. It's just, well, this, I don't think this is a reason necessarily as to why it's wonky. Because the thing is, with araragi, he has not told us about his parents, bar none. Like, period. Right? And so, and then we see Araragi's mom with Hanakawa, right? And Hanakawa doesn't have a reason to hide them from us. So if we're seeing Araragi's mom, then that's like, oh shoot, like, boom, right there, right? But we never saw we, in retrospect, I suppose the dad was mentioned, which was something that I must have just slipped the mind of. But let's hypothetically say that the dad was never shown when Hanakawa was at the house and, like, never even discussed. Then I think the theory would have been pretty locked in. Because, like, yeah, like, Araragi not showing us his parents, I think would line up with a hypothetical, one of the parents had something bad happen, and so he's cut both of them out of his story. Because think about it, right? Like, if you had a father and a mother, and let's say the mother or the father, one of them gets, like, iced or something bad happens, like, whenever you look at the other parent, the father, the mother, the one that didn't get iced, whenever you look at the other one, you're gonna think of the one that got iced. Like, they are connected. That tragedy, that event is connected with the other person. And that's not necessarily forever, that's, you know, but I think just that would be the emotional response. So let's say, hypothetically, Araragi's dad, boom, he's dead, right? For Araragi to think of that situation whenever he looks at his mom, I think would make sense and would be a reason as to why he cuts both out of the story. However, based in Tsubasa Tiger, in Hanakawa, whenever she's talked about it, or whenever we've seen Araragi's parents, in the parents plural, and the use of that overall, I think they're both around, they're both chilling. Yeah. I do think they're both chilling. I've since rescinded the argument, but I think, it rescinded the theory largely, but I do still think that there is, that with the way Araragi was portraying it, that there was still, that there, you know, could have been something there. But yeah, Hanakawa coming in clutch. Hey, she knows what she knows. A part of me, Yamato is crazy. I just had the thought, maybe I don't even watch episode 3 and I just upload this separately. No, let's watch episode 3. F it, we ball. Maybe it'll just be a short post discussion, and then I can carry it in the episode 4 pre-discussion. Your boy's just hungry, and you know, it is what it is. But your boy's just hungry. I'll complain. Wah. Okay, how about I just eat some of these yogurt pretzels, and then I can stop complaining. Okay, yeah. Get yourself a snack. Get yourself a drink. Oh. Bro, these smack, by the way. I got them for so cheap. I got them by the pound, bro. I ain't cutting this out. You're getting this in the video, whether you like it or not. Okay. Tsukimonogatari episode 3. Let's watch this hoe. I feel like I should finish chewing. This was a mistake. What? That's the drink for the episode if I end up drinking something. Okay, episode 3, this gets going in. At the start. 3, 2, 1, bang. I didn't even go through episode 2. I didn't even do a scroll through for episode 2, I just realized. That's fine. F it. He really says this is the cost. Yeah. Compensation. This makes a lot of, this feels so in line. Yeah, no choice but to be satisfied. Reverse. Oh, wow. Keep some humanity even if we can never fully go back. That's crazy. Wow, that's crazy. If you stop using your vampiric powers, then you will save whatever is left. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. Ooh, look at that being gray again. You're not just an oddity, you're not just a human. You're an oddity, sure, you're a vampire now, sure, but your metamorphosis isn't over yet. There's still that gray area to work within. That's crazy. I still don't understand Ononoki like super lovers. Like you know what I mean? I'm so sorry. I should just chill. I don't know why I'm throwing shit at Ononoki fans right now. My fault. My fault. Uh, this is so true. Like the things I'm working for, I'm losing understanding of. And like time is starting to just pass. And there's contradictions that I'm not working out yet. But you still gotta go to bed and wake up next day. Dance, monkey, dance. Maybe I just go down here for the rest of the reaction. How does this sound? Is this good? Yotsugi Doll Part 3! Episode Tai Body. What does that mean? What is that dark sun? Whoa, that's actually crazy. What the hell? She's winding up. Like a doll. It's the end. It's the end of you relying on them, man. You'll have to approach it as a full human. But what is there that you absolutely have to do, Araragi? Save the people? I know that's how you feel, but... Wow, just don't think about it? That's your answer? Cool shot with the lights. Yep. As a specialist. I'm aware of that. I was worried about that. True. I mean, Shinobu wins that, right? If she's full power, she wins that, right? Yeah, yeah. That is the acknowledgement. Further into the future. He's stressed about it. His stress. It's his time stress, man. Like a human would. You'll live like a human. That's how I was made. Why'd you take off a boot? To pretend to be human. What's your answer though, man? Are you... Do you mean that though? I think you do, but I don't know. This music's crazy. Yeah. No, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. No matter how many oaths I make, if right in front of my eyes to do her on a car, we're about to die. Oof. It's episode with devil horns? That's episode, bro. It's his cross that he threw at Hanakawa. Wow. That introspection speaks so much. I assume we can't see his reflection right now, because we can see hers in the glass. Aww. Yeah, we can't see his shadow or his reflection. That's cool. Mmm. That moon is crazy. Oh, it's like a... What is going... Dude, it looks so cool. It reminds me of the Kaiki shot in, whatever episode that was. The first time we saw Kaiki. Where did it have the same, like, eclipse looking thing? It reminds me of that. Is he seeing himself? He's, like, flipped himself into that script, maybe? That'd be cool. Go off, araragi. Yeah. Yeah, go off like it. Speak your truth, man. They leave me alone for the most part. Oh, right. He told her not to come. That's right. That's right. Aww. Aww. The end. The few months that she lost. Oh. Defanged, bro. You got defanged. What is this song building to? Why is that question so crazy? Hmm. They are a little fuzzy. Yeah, is he Walking Dead? That just wants to kill them all. Episode, maybe? Total hermit? I don't know then. So he's straight away. I don't know. It could be. Well, I don't know. Yeah, where's my, like, Shaft story stylized little mini thing? Where is it? Is she just denying the request? Oh, she's deflecting onto to Ononoki. Gone? Why'd she cut off this information? Yeah. Hmm. Tadatsuru? What? I don't have a pencil, bro. I'm just... Okay. I'm not expecting new characters. That's good. Head over there? Where's there? What happened? Both of his sisters are there. What happened? She knows. Of course she knows. What happened? Or is this going to be the immediate test of if he can... She did her jump. If he can hold up to that oath that he made? Maybe it's an immediate test of that. I wonder if God can predict him. I mean, Oshino wasn't able to. True, true. He has to act as if that's the case. Oh, good. Well, I mean, Gon was able to tell that where he's going sometimes. He was smelling their pillows. Interesting. So perhaps she does have a pretty good read of Araragi. What was that little paper crane? I saw a paper crane. Yeah, yeah. What is going on? What is that? A rainbow, man. Is this an... What is that? The one guy that I didn't write down his name? What is it? Hmm. Surprising people with malicious intent? Huh? Phoenix? Yeah, good call. Good call, Odonoki. He says he knows. Yep, he says he knows. Is this Teori? Tadatsuru, Tadatsuru, Tadatsuru. Oh my goodness. Cotangent? What? Doll Master. Oh shoot, Ononoki. Is he that one other guy that wants to kill? Is he gonna... Oh no, okay, let's see. That's a really cool background, by the way. I really like that. That shot. The shadow of it. Oh, look, cool shadows again. Hmm? Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow, yeah. It was, yeah, yeah. What? God testing him? Question mark. But the doings of a human. Oof. That's when this all happened. Yeah. No, I think it's fair. I think it's fair. He's trying to make it into a divine punishment though. I think that would make him. That sounds like it's making him feel better because he's just kind of like I deserve it. It's all crashing down on me at once. How do you feel about it crashing down though? Maybe that was the story of the darkness the other day. Story about Hachikuji. Story's the embodiment of what I hid away. Wow. They look like trees. They look like trees. Why are we in Ice King's palace, bro? Aesthetics. Okay. Aesthetic curiosity. Oh, the doll thing fits very well then. Yeah. So it's like an artistic thing. That's cool. Mm. So he like idolizes the oddity. That's a very interesting idea. Yeah. Yeah. Like a mediator. Which I respect. Wow. I mean to yourself. Narcissism. I'm having a snowball fight. Oh, wow. Yeah. It's the victim complex, like, shutting down. Wow. Yeah. Okay, a team up. Crazy. I'll just go with the flow. What? Oh, you can't break your own definitions. Can't break your own rules. Fair enough. Yeah, you can have my little Ononoki. Have fun. Is you. Mmm. Oh, and this guy left, right? Yeah, yeah. Comes a situation that we are considered a problem. Yeah. Artificial, intentional, and malicious. Oh, we went through all 1,000? North Shirahebi Shrine. That was rude. Write it on one of the 1,000. Time. 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 Put them in their futons. Put them in their futons. What about waking us up, bro? What about all the let me wake my sisters up stuff? Is that gonna come full circle? Yeah, you're a human. True. And you won't be able to fight back. It's funny, like the very situation is one whereas Araragi is forced to realize like, oh, it is about me. You know, it's like, oh, the story is about me. It's not about my sisters who look like they're victims. It's really about me being targeted through something else, right? But it is about me. Wow. But also the risk of the narcissism, right? Oh man. This doll guy. I already forgot his name. Where's my pencils, man? Where's my note-taking devices, man? I don't think I have any. This is so sad. I'll write it in. I'll write it in when looking through the episode next time. Ogi, bro. Imagine Ogi gets even more powerful because Araragi has even less power to influence the things that he wants to influence. Like, if Ogi gets more of an issue and more of a problem post all of this, like, I have to act human thing, that would be crazy. Freaking Ogi. Doll maker. Imagine, like, the doll maker. Like, I'm trying to think. How did the doll maker know about this, right? Where did the doll maker get the information? Because it's not a coincidence. Or rather, it is a huge coincidence to the point of being like, maybe there's, like, a malicious planning. But, well, I guess he was targeting them. Yeah, it just ends. He was targeting them for a while, was kind of the idea. But I do wonder if, like... I mean, Ogi's been whispering in people's ears, like, constantly. You know? Ogi's whispering in freaking the guy that clocked Kaiki. Ogi's whispering in Nadeko. Ogi's talking to Araragi, whispering to Araragi, to Kanburu, to freaking everyone. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's an Ogi connection somewhere over the rainbow. Um, just for the timing wise, because like it would be the case that like right when Araragi realizes that he's vampire, then Ogi makes a move happen to capitalize, to punish Araragi, which is one reason he was like, oh, I'm being punished, and he kind of accepted that, self-flagellating as he is. So I mean, it almost I feel like be like a like his sister's getting kidnapped is like his attempt to self-flagellate, using maybe Ogi, um, because he thinks he deserves it, and so to punish himself, people he cares about are getting taken from him, and then to prove himself worthy of them, he has to save them again, right? And sometimes in the past, when he doesn't, when he's failed to prove himself worthy, or the situation hasn't panned out, they've just gone, like Hachikuji, or Son Goku. So it's like a repetition of that, except now he lacks the vampire part because it really is all crumpling down. And this song and dance he does of people getting hoed and then him trying to help them, this self-flagellating dance, is falling apart as the world around him isn't necessarily accepting of that to continue. That's kind of my guess of where we're going with that, I guess. Man, is Ogi his self-flagellation? That's a cool idea. Less of even his like failure to meet up, but also meet up to his own expectations, and also the punishment directed towards him for that as well. That would be cool, because he thinks himself deserving of punishment in a sense, and so these situations are made by Ogi to punish Araragi and give Araragi, and then Araragi uses them as perhaps a chance to redeem himself going in this dance, you know. Just a thought. It's like an addendum, or some sort of like side addition to some of those other Ogi thoughts. So all contingent on those thoughts panning out. But I do like those thoughts a lot. There are lots of good visuals in this episode too. The thorns. What was his line here? In the end, oh no, it was like before this, because he admits like he doesn't know if he would be able to hold himself back. It's funny, for episode to be the guy there. I will have no doubts in my mind. I wouldn't think about the consequences and only think about what's right before my eyes. Man, he's introspecting on that, and that's true. It has been true in the past. I mean, do you think yourself impossible to change? I mean, if we want to go with some of those vampire ideas of like the vampire heals to its same state, it's incapable of like actual like fundamental change or whatever. You know, immortal is a form of like stagnation. So because he's thinking out these ideas as if he doesn't have the power to change them, as if he's completely at a whim of his own ideals, which it's up to this point he has kind of been, but he's not aware that, dog, you can control yourself still, you know. It's just, you know, even if you have those ideals, like it is you can make the choice to not listen to yourself, you know what I mean? And that isn't just as easy as that, but I think that is a thing. But he, you know, because he's saying it as if it's just a rock solid thing, but for him, I think that's his own interpretation. That's honestly where he kind of is, so I get it. But yeah, sisters got hoed. Dollmaker, wants Araragi and Shinobu as what, dolls, as immortal oddities to look at for fun, as something he finds beautiful, or what? Like, what's the exact reasoning he's doing this? You know, because we got like the reasoning, but I'm curious as to like what you just putting him in a cage, the Araragi and Shinobu cage. Yeah, I'd put them in a cage. I'd put them both in a cage. Put it in the corner of my room. Hey, Araragi, hey, Shinobu. Hey, how you guys doing? Just like that one time Sugihara tied Araragi up. Do you remember that? Woo! Stop the metamorphosis. Man, there's no hope of going back. I mean, it's like, I wonder if like the trickery is him. I guess it's like I no longer can go back to being human, but I can at least stop myself from becoming more of a monster. But even monsters, just more of an oddity, let's say. Yeah. Oh boy. I'm really curious how this is going to end up, considering that it is doing some... So does his name, Tadatsuru, have some sort of... Is there some sort of pun with sine, cosine, tangent, and angles and triangles or something? I don't know the pun. What's the pun? Wait. Whoa. What? Tadatsuru is sine. Yodoru is cosine. Yotsugi is cotangent? Dog, it's been so long since I've done math. I'm not trying to do math. They're using the colors. I don't mean something about the connection between doll. I mean, was Ononoki given to Kage Nui from this guy as the doll maker, and that's what this like cotangent thing is supposed to represent somehow? That's the most brain effort I'm giving that one. Oh man, the tower crashing down is fun. Isn't it so strange that a bunch of unpaid tabs come knocking all at once though? It is crazy how life hits you like that sometimes. Feels like everything goes like that lately. No, for real, man. It's as if what I had built up, what I had hidden away, is all crashing down on me at once. But maybe you somewhat want that to happen. I kind of feel like there might be maybe it's me projecting as I in the beginning of this episode, as I talked about, right? This weird and I called it the sickly desire for a self-destructive in the things you created desire. Perhaps Araragi's feeling that. Perhaps Araragi's feeling that exact thing I verbalized. And it is being done through Ogi, or being done through something related to Araragi's subconscious or spirit or whatever. And even if it's outside of the literal workings of the story with Ogi or freaking this dollmaker or whatever, even if it's more of a narrative choice, then it still could be reflective of Araragi having that idea going on. Listening to Yotsugi's story, it feels that way. Yeah. Whew. This was a good episode. I mean, interesting stuff going on. I'm really curious what we're going to do with it. The visuals were really cool as well. I really like the visuals of the ice palace. It's funny, we've built a palace in the area that the school once was, you know? We're playing snowball outside of an ice palace outside of where the cram school was. So we built a structure in the place that a structure burned down, and we built it out of ice. That feels like it could be some crazy thing. I don't know. About a return to more of the ice is more of a introspective spiritual self, and so it's a building while the cram school was to catch him up socially and with school and to get himself moving in that direction, cram him forward. This ice palace is him cramming forward for all the time we've spent with Araragi and all the time he's spent in the last year or two or whatever without actually dealing with some of these things going on. So it's we're cramming now his introspection in this reflective, because ice is reflective though he can't reflect, being vampire now, being not human. So it's maybe we could see something there. That's kind of fun. Though, I don't know. Throw it at the wall, see if it sticks kind of thing. We are seeing his shadow here. But that's just from the light outside. Yeah, seeing the ice as a reflective chamber is kind of cool. Vampire not being able to reflect. I wonder if that's if that's an idea. But he is introspecting. But is he introspecting correctly and truly? Is it that he's not reflecting the deepest stuff? And so the introspection he does is surface level. But honestly, I do feel a lot of his introspection is pretty solid. Well, is it even his introspection, though? A lot of it's him being just told by Kage Nui here. What are you doing, Ononoki? Taking off a boot? What is the lore of taking off the boot? This shot with the eclipsed, I mean, it almost feels like this is a Kaiki thing. It makes me think of that one shot with Kaiki when he got introduced in front of Kamburu's house in Nisei whatever. It had a very similar moon shot. The only reason I remember that so clearly is because I think I had it as the thumbnail of that episode. And so it makes me almost think that he's considering he's putting himself in that basket now. Something. I don't know, man. Lots of interesting questions we're asking. And he randomly throws in a maybe I'm getting licked thing to like throw us all to you know, copium return to formula. I don't feel like it is much of an inconvenience nor a handicap. I like their cut-ins here. Man, remember the OG cut-ins trying to catch those frame by frame? And me being in Bake just losing it with Paw Player, just trying to go one frame at a time, be like, where is this? Where is this? What a throwback, man. These tunnels. This tower. The ruins of the throne. Not the doings of heaven, but the doings of a human. That's fun alliterate. Human heaven, not the doings of heaven, but of human. That's just bars. That's just fun English right there. What are you on, an elk? There's a bunch of triangles and angular stuff behind Kagenui, so that's like very fitting to the trigger to the sin cosine cotangent thing that we just went through with the other guy, and he probably has to do with angles and such. So this is probably a visual analogy or metaphor for his character, perhaps. Could be cool there. A crane, of course, is also like folded. I feel like that's kind of a linear angular thing, but yeah. One more episode of the arc? That's crazy. They're probably low-key still asleep. Like Tsuki, and Karen, what are we just going to say? Like, or do they get kidnapped? I mean, they're going to have no idea about the oddity stuff, surely. Well, that'd be a crazy development if that ever came out to them, you know? So, yeah. We'll probably just free them, slam them back in their things and see how it goes. Probably have some crazy, like, araragi selfish, or, like, narcissism because they're bringing up narcissism, like, we're using the word narcissism. They're kind of, I'm assuming they're going to bring that back, especially with this guy saying that araragi is the target, which obviously is a crazy point, right? You know, with araragi always making somebody else's issue the thing, but then it always reflects back to him, you know, kind of thing. Reflect is such a crazy word to use. Whew. Yeah, I think that's all I really got for this episode 3 of Tsukimonogatari. I do want to give this a deeper pass. I also kind of want to look through episode 2 a little bit more. Maybe I'll do that at the start of episode 4. Frogs. The frogs represent something. Feet. Call yourself on the feet phone. Hanakawa's boobs. Get on the throne. Gavel. Judge. Law. The law binds you. Was that a noose? I don't think so. I'm literally tripping. I'm literally making things up. Foot. Bondage. Yep. Bathing. Karen kicking. Destroy inversion. Okay. That's all I got for this episode 3 of Tsukimonogatari. Under the next episode 4 should be exciting. Of course, if you like the video, subscribe. If you're new, blah, 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 comment below if you say, or join the Discord, talk to me, or other Monogatari friends. Until the next episode 4 should be exciting. That's all for tonight. I'll be seeing you then. Peace.